Hey everyone, we're back with another week of Find Your Film. It is now, we are recording this on Wednesday, December 1st. This is the films covering the week of December 3rd, 2021. But we're not covering the films that are coming out on the week of December 3rd, 2021, because we have had a big portion of our Find Your Film episode gutted. It is gone forever. Why, Bruce Purkey, is our show a little bit different this week?
I think it's Steven Spielberg's fault. I think it is.
Okay. That's smart. Eric, you have any idea why our show has been gutted this week? Do you have an idea?
I think we kind of blew our load on the cinematics.
Blew your load. Okay.
Yeah.
You know
I
what?
can say that now.
Eric Holmes can say that because we are an explicit show, and Eric is in his, Eric in his potty mouth, he said the big shit word, Eric, you can actually say that word right now. I'm not going to edit it out, and he said it on Cinematics, which is a clean show, and I'm going to have to edit that out, but it's good.
We took our episode and we carved it into something, and then we used it all on Cinematics.
We use it all in Cinematics. So Cinematics is getting all of our features from this week. So if you want to check out our reviews of Benedetta, of Death of a Telemarketer, or Wolf, or we call it Wolf. Go check out our the Cinematics podcast feed, which Anderson and I we're going to get back together in maybe a week or two to wrap up the rest of the month. So check out our Cinematics show, which we just finished recording. You'll get our reviews of that. Sum it all up, Bruce. What's the movie out of all those three that you highly recommend? What's the one that you love?
The only one you could possibly want to watch is Wolf, yes.
Okay.
No, Benedetta. We like Benedetta a lot.
We love Benedetta. And Eric, anything else that you want to say?
Benedetta, nuts. I can't remember the name of the
Death of a Telemarketer?
Death of a Telemarketer. Yeah, but you got Benedetta. Death of a Telemarketer is really fun. I didn't see Wolf, but you guys seem to not like. Greg gave it 4 stars.
I give it very funny. I gave it a 1 star, and I'm gonna really say this, okay, folks. For Find Your Film, one of the things we don't do is we don't do ratings. We should do ratings more. Anderson has been talking about how he doesn't like ratings. Maybe I'm becoming a little bit more pessimistic in my old age, but I want to start levying ratings on people. I'm going to start giving some ratings, and the ratings I give to Wolf,
69 out of 100.
That is a nice number, Eric, but this is not the number I'm going to give Wolf. I'm going to give Wolf a star, like 1 star out of 5 stars. And I'm also there are numbers. I'm not going to give it a 69. I'm going to give it a minus 95 minutes. Again, it's not a joke. I'm giving it 1 star and minus 95 because that is 95 minutes that will forever be taken away from my life. Wolf, it comes out on December 3rd. Please avoid the movie at all costs. Bruce Purkey, do you agree?
I don't think it's that bad. No, it's pretty bad.
Okay. I thought I was looking at him a little bit of askance, or I was thinking, is Bruce on the take on this? Because if he's on the take, that means how much money have I been getting? Because I've been on the take for years. How dare you? No, but it's not.
It's funny watching Bruce listen to you eviscerate a movie so badly. It's almost like he's watching his parents beat the living crap out of one of his siblings, going, "I hope I'm not next."
I'm just happy it's for once. It's not me for once. I mean, usually I'm the one doing it, and you guys are both, "I like this movie," and I'm like, "Oh man, I'm an asshole." And it's like, finally, someone else gets to be the asshole.
By the way, how dare you copy me and Eric saying, "I like this movie." My voice is not that deep, Bruce. I just want you to know.
Benny loves you.
Benny loves this movie. Oh, by the way, folks, one of our recommendations for this year is please go see Benny Loves You, right? Strong recommend on that, folks?
Yeah.
Eric, Bruce?
It might end up on my 31 for 21.
Oh, very good. Also, listeners, Find Your Film Cinematics. We're one big happy family. Go and be a member of our Cinematics Facebook group. We have some really interesting members, wonderful members on a daily basis, giving our fellow members movie recommendations. People like Joseph Bridges, Matt Stillman, Jason Kleberg, Angie Clark. Some more movies. Eric, some more members. Who else? Chad Wolfong. Who else is good? Just some very, very good people.
I don't know. My brain went blank.
Peter Beta? Did you say Peter Beta?
Peter Beta? Yeah, he always drops that beat every week, and not just on our podcast.
Beta test.
But on our Cinematics Facebook feed, he does a really great job at recommending movies.
I really want to see that made. Do the beta test poster, but put the PETA beta test.
Very good, the PETA beta test. Speaking of PETA beta, Bruce Purkey, you're doing a little bit of a shout out to he and the crew this week, aren't you?
Oh yeah, so we do the box every week. Every week they spin a wheel to figure out what movie they're going to do a deep dive on that next week. And they have their own picks on the wheel, but they also have listener picks. I had Harold Maude in there for like 2 years or something, or a year and a half. I had it in there before we actually talked about it. And they finally picked it out of the wheel and they said, hey, come on and talk about it with us. So I went and talked about it with them. And that episode just went up, I believe, today.
So the Harold and Maude episode, do you guys talk about spoilers on that episode as well?
Yeah, they do spoilers. Whenever they do their deep dive for the week, they will spoil it. So it's just kind of built into that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And you were there for the whole episode.
Yeah, I was surprised. Usually they have you come on and just say a couple words like why you suggested it and stuff. And they said, hey, you want to sit in for the whole episode? I said, yeah, okay, sure. I did it. So.
Well, that's nice to hear, Peter Beta and crew. Joseph Tyler, right? I thank you for not letting me sit in with you guys for the entire episode. How dare both of you? And you let Bruce sit. What's going on there, Bruce? How come they let you sit in with the entire episode and they get? I'm basically segment dude. What happened? How did you become full show dude? Why am I just segment dude? What?
You didn't help them with the drop for their part of their episode every week. So
okay.
You got to pay the piper if you want to get the P to Beta.
Do they do Yo Bruce drop that beat?
I like the Peter Beta pipe. A lot of alliteration there, Bruce. Again, Harold and Maude episode. Go check out Middle Class Film Class. Our buddy Bruce Purkey is on it with Pete and the crew and Tyler and Joseph, all that stuff. Eric, you had something on your mind before we get to
no?
No?
I got the exact opposite. I got nothing.
You got nothing on you. Nothing on your mind right now.
Everything just leaked out of my ears.
You know why? Because we've just been talking cinematic stuff for the last hour. Now we're back. We're rejigging our heads into the whole Find Your Film universe. So now, since our feature films are not right now on the show, this is not going to be a complete waste for you guys, for you listeners, because this is actually going to be a lot of value added. Because we're not going. This whole episode is not about the trends or what's opening on Friday. This is about what Eric and Bruce have to recommend to you guys this week. Let's start off with Bruce, because one of these movies. You actually, like a virus, you actually recommended this movie earlier to our Facebook group about 4 or 5 days ago. And then a couple of people have been really getting into this. What is this movie that I don't know if I'll ever see because that poster looks really weird to me?
I don't even know how to say it. It's called Daimajin, or they'll have other names too, like Daimajin, the Monster of Terror or something like that. It's from 1966, Japanese movie. I had seen clips of this when I was a kid, and it had popped up on something recently because I think Arrow Video is re-releasing a really super fancy high upgrade of the entire trilogy. This is the first movie in a trilogy. And I thought, well, cool, let me see if I can find that movie. And there's a pretty good transfer on YouTube now, but I would say if you watch a little of that and like it, then there's that Arrow Video coming out, which would be amazing to have. What is Daimajin? It's directed by Kimiyoshi Yasuda. And this is right in the era of all the kaiju movies. All the Godzilla movies are coming out, and Gamera movies are coming out, and all that stuff is big. And this is a very strange hybrid where, first of all, it takes place in like feudal Japan. So kind of like all the stuff you see in some of the big Kurosawa movies. And it almost is to that level of...
What? No. To that level of Kurosawa?
It's really well done. It's not a B movie, put it that way. I say the production value. Like the production is really good. And, it's got a really good setup. It's got a really good villain. And it honestly, for about 2/3, maybe even 3/4 of the movie, it's pretty much just a feudal Japanese story of treachery and, taking over the lords of the area and the kids escaping and having to go into exile for years and years and, terrible tyrants ruling the land, all that kind of stuff.
Like Dune.
Like Dune, but a lot shorter and a lot less.
Oh gosh, and a lot less what, Bruce? You're gonna say? What were you gonna say? You're gonna break
and a lot less of the fun
say?
That we had in Benedetta. There we go. How's that?
Oh, Eric Holmes has entered the chat. How dare you say that? He's a Dune enthusiast. Pay some respects to the man.
Anyway. And then the last third of this movie becomes a kaiju movie. And I won't say what the kaiju is, but it's really cool. If you like that kind of movie, it's very satisfying and actually fits in with the whole tone of the movie. And it has one of the best comeuppances for a villain from that era that I've seen. It's really great how that ending goes. If you like kaiju movies, this is kind of an interesting, odd version of that.
What if you like feudal Japan movies, like you said, like how it was built?
Yeah.
Okay.
You might actually really dig it. You might see. The only problem is if you're used to for the realistic-ish view that those usually have, the ending might throw you off a little bit because you have a giant something growing in there. But if you can kind of hang with both worlds, then you could really enjoy this.
Are you gonna go check out the trailer? I mean, the trilogy.
I think I will at least check out the second one because I think a lot of people have said the second one is the best. I've heard that they're all pretty similar, and I think that all three might have been filmed at the similar time. And this director, I guess, went on to great fame in some other movies, which I haven't really checked out, and that's and I might be saying it wrong, the Zatoichi series.
Swordsman. Yeah, the Swordsman stuff. Yeah.
He did a bunch of those movies, and I think he did some Lone Wolf and Cub as well. So he's pretty big in that era.
Okay, cool. Wow. All right. So that is Daimajin, or however you pronounce that, and you said you found it on. Well, it's stream. It might be YouTube, but like you said, Aero Player probably if you really want to get it good. Okay. Well, all right. Yeah. So and it's look you look. It says here on IMDb you can buy it on DVD starting at how much, $89.99. So better.
Oh yeah, because they're just about to re-release it on Arrow, so that's why before you couldn't get it. Once again, another one of those things you can't get. Stupid.
Okay, that is very, very value added. That pick, I think that might be a pick I might really want to watch because you're very high on that pick. Eric, we were joking on cinematics when we mentioned Beast. Why are you mentioning Beast? What is Beast to you?
Oh, we're gonna do that one first. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Beast is a 2017 movie written, directed by Michael Pierce, who also has a movie coming out on the 3rd in limited release called Encounter with Riz Ahmed. And so I saw that, and I saw the trailer while we were preparing for cinematics. And I was like, oh, Michael Pierce directed that. That name sounds real familiar. Where have I heard that before? And I looked it up, and I saw they did a movie called Beast. And I hadn't seen Beast, but the poster made it look like Beauty and the Beast. So I thought, oh, okay, maybe this is a Beauty and the Beast type movie. It is not, like, at all. This is, oh, shoot, how would I describe this? So this woman, Maul, played by Jessie Buckley.
She's very good in this movie.
Not to be confused with Jeff Buckley, the singer. She was in
Wild Rose.
I'm thinking of Ending Things.
Yeah. She's good in that. We're great in that.
And
very good actor.
So she has a family that air quote loves her, but they don't really accept her, and they're kind of what's a good word for it? Like
they're standoffish. So what happened? They're very standoffish. They're not really affectionate. Maul she's again played by Jessie Buckley. She's a little, if I recall, she's a little bit of an outsider. She has her own, sort of in her own world, and
like even to the point where she's having a birthday party, and then it turns into her sister and her husband's having a baby shower. Her birthday turns into a baby shower just in the middle of her birthday, like right. So it's not like she's not being abused. But she kind of is a little bit.
Yeah, she's being ignored. Yeah.
And then she almost gets raped by this one guy. And Johnny Flynn comes in. Pascal Renouf? Is that the Pascal?
Yeah, Pascal Renouf. Yeah.
He comes in, and those two he helps her out, and those two kind of hit it off. And she starts spending a lot of time with him, and her family doesn't like that because he's he's not high society like we are. He's a ruffian, and he wears jeans to a formal event, and they basically don't like him, but she likes him, and they're both kind of oddballs, but they get to be oddballs together. Where it gets weird, or not weird, but interesting, is that there are serial killings happening, and they think that this Ralph guy, Pascal think that everyone thinks that Pascal's involved in this. They can't prove it, but I know it. He just didn't seem right. And of course they say that because they say, they're all kind of assholes. And so that's kind of from there. It kind of turns into a mystery of like he's not the murderer, but who is the murderer? And then her, the relationship with her family starts to kind of go sour. And this is a really good movie. It's a good mystery. It's a good kind of a family drama, and it's got it basically just made me really really excited for Encounter and to see what Riz Ahmed does in that. Yeah, good stuff. Check it out.
Bruce, what did you think of Beast when you saw it?
I really liked it. I remember you had brought it up either in the group or maybe on Cinematics.
I brought it up in
but I remember
Cinematics
you-
several years ago.
Yeah.
I absolutely went crazy for this movie.
Yeah.
I love this
And I
movie. I
remember-
highly recommend
yeah.
that movie.
Yeah, I really liked it when I watched it, and it was one of those things where Jessie Buckley just
You
like
just knew.
jumps off the screen at you, and she's just become one of my favorite actresses. That she isn't working enough as far as I'm concerned, but everything she's in, she's making really interesting choices. I would be amazed if she isn't up for some sort of award, Oscar nomination in the next 5 years. She's
Probably not for this. Probably might be a bit
probably-
late.
Yeah, it might be a bit late
Yeah.
for Beast. By the way, Beast currently is streaming on Amazon Prime Video for free. I'm sure most people in the world have Amazon Prime Video. Highly recommend Beast. Here's the thing. Like Eric says, it was released in 2018. What kind of barrier to entry is Beast? It's a very dark film, simply put. If you think The Talented Mr. Ripley is dark, Beast goes darker. Think The Talented Mr. Ripley meets David Fincher's Seven, and then you'll get Beast. And I'm a little bit frustrated because this movie, when it came out in 2018, I thought it would get a lot more attention from critics, from people in general. The one good thing about the movie is, like Bruce said, it turned Jessie Buckley into a star. It transitioned her to do even higher profile films. But that does not negate the fact that Beast, even to this day, is a very powerful film. Great performance by Johnny Flynn. And the third act is something
Yes.
to friggin'
Yes.
behold. It knocks the friggin' bleep out of you. I like
This one definitely sticks the landing for sure. Like there's so many like twists and turns towards the third act, and then different things happen, and then the ending. The ending's abrupt, but it is good.
Yeah, it goes to places where you go, oh my God, they went there. And yes, Bruce.
I was going to say, I think that the marketing and the name and the title of this doesn't do it any favors. I mean, look at Eric. Look at what he was thinking when he was looking at this movie. That
Right.
really throws people off. So either people go in there with the idea of it, and they're not adventurous, and all of a sudden they're like, this isn't what I wanted. Or people don't go in at all because they just think it's something that is not what it is,
Yeah.
So
The poster totally looks like a Beauty and the Beast movie.
or like
Yeah,
a
I mean,
Twilight movie or something,
Yeah.
like it doesn't look like what it is.
What's interesting about Beast, without giving too much away, because this would be a spoiler kind of situation, is there is a serial killer element to it. There is a relationship element to it, but there's also an element where you're wondering who is the protagonist of this movie. Okay, and it's all about decision making, whether you're killing or not. Who do you decide to get involved with? And also, sometimes what happens when someone actually makes a profound difference in your life? What happens? These two people, the reason why they're in each other's lives is very profound for both of them, respectively, in a different way. Now you're going to try to figure out and this is my way of selling the movie. You're going to try to figure out who is the Beast in this movie. Is it both of them? Is it one of them? Who is benefiting from this relationship? Who ends up benefiting the most from this relationship? It's a very twisted movie, and it has so many different layers than what you think, and that's why I loved Beast so much. Eric, what were you going to say?
I said this wasn't a Beauty and the Beast movie. I think it might be though. Now that I'm thinking of it, there's
Right,
like
yeah.
you could squeeze a little Beauty in there because she's Belle's leaving her community, which is kind of and then she goes to the evil beast who she ends up falling in love with. So I mean it's tenuous, but it's there, I think.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, Eric, you like pulling a lot of those threads. Those very interesting threads. Like I still remember. I'm still waiting for that big 500-page essay that you're gonna have on Juan Diego Escobar Alzate's "Lose the Flower of Evil."
It's gonna be 69 pages long.
69 pages. By the way, Juan Diego Escobar Alzate, thank you so much. Lose the Flower of Evil. We love your film so much. He's also the person who actually created our podcast artwork for Find Your Film. Listeners, if you actually go to our Apple Podcast, I finally figured out after a month and a half how to get our podcast artwork on Apple Podcasts. Listeners, this is a little podcast inside baseball thing. So if you're, hopefully, this will help a couple of people who are trying to do a podcast. listeners, if you're trying to do a podcast and you're trying to upload podcast artwork and they say it has to be 1400 by 1400, make it 1400 by 1400. What I was doing is like, oh, it has to be at least 1400 by 1400. So, okay, well, I'll make it 1550 by 1402. I kept on making all these weird dimensions. When they say 1400 by 1400 dimensions, folks, make it that way, or at the max 3000 by 3000. Make it exactly those specifications. Submit your artwork to Apple Podcasts, and then you'll get your artwork immediately accepted. Or you can play with the dimensions like I do, like an idiot, and wait for about a month and a half for it to actually work, which it won't, and you're gonna have to follow the rule book. So that's a little podcast advice for you guys. What'd you think, Bruce? Was I good at the teaching thing?
That was amazing. I learned
Podcast
a lot.
101?
I took some notes. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Bruce and Eric, have you learned a lot from my podcast expertise over the last year and a half? We've been doing Movie Mainline and Find Your Film. What have you learned the most from me, Eric?
I've learned that you're a workhorse and you're very good at what you do, and I could probably not do half the stuff that you do on your own.
Bruce, all you have to do is say I agree with Eric times 2, and then you're okay. Hello?
I've learned that I can now get my face to be the podcast icon. All I have to do is get it the right size.
Okay, so folks, in Bruce's dry wit is he just said the thing that he learned the most about me was about 10 seconds ago. That is very cutting, Bruce. I don't like it. But you know what you did like? You liked this movie called The Trip. What is it about? How about that segue?
That's a great segue, Greg.
Thank you. I like Noomi Rapace.
It's a Greg segue.
Oh, it's a Greg segue.
It's a Greg way.
Okay, now, here's the thing about recommendations regarding The Trip. The reason why I was worried about this movie is it didn't have too much fanfare when it came out on Netflix, and I'm thinking, is this any good? Lamb had more fanfare because it's A24. I'm thinking, is this a throwaway movie? But obviously, you're thinking otherwise.
Yeah, so I was kind of like you. I didn't watch it when it first came out, and after a week or so, it kept coming up on our Cinematics page, as we talked about earlier. Several people recommended it and said this movie is actually pretty good, pretty interesting. It's directed by Tommy Wirkola, if I'm saying it correctly. I believe
yes, you
it's from Norway. It's a Nordic country. I think it's Norway. And the main 2 stars of this movie are Noomi Rapace. I don't know how to say her name.
Rapace.
Lisa. And it's funny because she just starred in Lamb earlier this year. This incredibly intense, dour, subdued performance. And in this, she is the exact opposite. And then Lars is her husband. She plays Lisa. Lars is her husband, played by Axel Hennie. And how to describe this movie? This movie is kind of a cheeseburger movie, but only if you like very intense cheeseburgers. So the basic concept is this. They're a couple. She's an actress. She's not doing great. Like, she's making it with advertisements. And he's a director, also not doing great. He's like doing soap operas and stuff like that. And they're leaving on a little getaway to his dad's cabin in the woods. And you get the feeling that they're basically on the verge of breaking up. And before they head out there, you see that the husband is buying a hammer, a hacksaw, some duct tape, some rope, and you're like, oh my God, it's like a murder kit. And they get to the cabin. You find out very quickly that both have planned to murder each other when they got to this cabin. And that's the beginning of this movie. And that is only one of many, many twists. And this movie, it's like...
one of many twists. Really?
Yes. Because they are not the only people that end up in this cabin. And it's like War of the Roses, but War of the Roses is way too tame. Like, War of the Roses is a very, very tame movie compared to this movie. This movie gets incredibly violent and bloody. By the third act, it is like, it's like slasher level violence. But it's also funny. This movie has a lot of humor, but it goes very, very, very dark. So obviously, I'm just kind of warning people, if that's not your style, it's not for you. It does also a lot of fun things with a fractured timeline, not to the degree of like a Tarantino, but you'll have a point like where it'll get to a point where things are kind of coming to a head, and then you'll have one of those, 3 hours ago or 3 days ago, and you'll go slightly back to another point of view and then come back into where you're at. So that
looks
things
hard
will
to
kind of
do.
cross over.
That looks very hard to execute as a story.
But this is not a heady movie. It's very It's very in your face, and it's very, like I said, it's kind of a cheeseburger, like a really, really spicy cheeseburger.
Was
But
the violence and
a lot of
slasher
fun.
elements, was that needed for the trip? Do you think it's extraneous, or do you think it fit fine for you?
It fits because it's a very like I said, like you know how when in War of the Roses it gets really
Yes.
cruel to each other,
Mm-hmm.
but that's
Yeah.
the tone of this kind of level of satire and this kind of scathing look at these people. This one is a little it's something. It's worth watching. And there, I wish I could tell you, but I don't want to ruin it. There is a character that comes in the third act that you didn't think was going to come into the third act that you met in the first act, and when that character comes into the third act, it is amazing and it's
Oh.
very, very satisfying.
Okay, so that's hey, Eric, did you see the trip as well? Did you see
No,
it?
I didn't. I did not.
Okay, well, here's the thing. The trip, like Bruce was saying, it is directed by Tommy Wirkola. Actually, I should have flagged this and watched this myself because I'm a huge fan of his previous. I'm a huge fan of his movie Dead Snow and Dead Snow 2, Red vs. Dead. And in 2013, he made this movie called Hansel and Gretel, Witch Hunters, which stars Jeremy Renner and I believe who else was in this movie. It was a real big Paramount film. It starred Jeremy Renner and Gemma Arterton. Here's the interesting thing about Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, which was released around that time. That movie, I think it made money for Paramount, and if Tommy wanted to, he could have probably stayed in Hollywood and make a lot of schlocky Hollywood blockbusters, which I think is what Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters was aiming towards. And I'm guessing here, but I'm thinking after that experience where he made some good money, worked with some big stars, he decided to go back and tone it down and just work in his own country. And then after that, he released Dead Snow 2, Red vs. Dead. Now, getting to the meat of the matter, in 2017, he released this Noomi Rapace film, which I love, called What Happened to Monday. And basically, you have Noomi Rapace. Have you seen that, Bruce? What Happened to Monday? Or Eric? Oh my God. What Happened to Monday? She plays. Oh, this is high recommendation, and I think I love it so much. I'm gonna. You know what, listeners, find your film. I'm gonna actually recommend that we do a rewind of this, and because we're gonna probably Eric, you and I will probably see the trip. We'll do a rewind of that, and then we're gonna see what happened. If you guys have time, go see What Happened to Monday. It's currently streaming on Netflix, and it's basically Noomi Rapace plays like 5 or 6 sisters, and what happens is, so one of them has to survive because there's a big conspiracy going around. It's like a post-apocalyptic future kind of movie. Fantastic film. Would love to hear what you guys think. It's a very genre-driven piece. I'm surprised you guys haven't seen What Happened to Monday. And it's directed by The Trip's Tommy Wirkola. I think you're predisposed to actually see it sooner than later, Bruce, because you were a fan. Solid recommendation of The Trip, correct?
Yes, and this just seems like the kind of movie that'll get remade, an American remake. And it seems like the kind of movie that'll get an American remake, and it'll be defanged somewhat as well.
Oh, well, remakes
Yeah.
don't get defanged. I mean, look at Jake Gyllenhaal in The Guilty. That movie was awesome. This is a sponsored Netflix post. Right, Eric? Yes?
I
Thumbs up?
actually like the remake.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
You know
Yes,
what-
Bruce? Goodbye.
What threw me off in the remake is when Taylor Swift called and he started going crazy. I couldn't figure out what was
Okay.
going on. I just like, why is this in here?
We love our
Wait,
Netflix.
can we
We
touch
love our
on that,
Netflix,
bro?
and we love
'Cause
Bruce's jokes. Yes.
The
Yeah.
Guilty's been out for a while, and I'm not going to give away the ending. But what I appreciated with that was with the original, like when you found out.
The plane crashed in his house, and he was
No,
actually
you know what?
looking
Never
at a
mind.
rabbit.
Never mind. I don't want to
The plane
because I'm gonna have to
crashed.
give up the original Guilty, and I don't want to.
Okay,
but,
good.
yeah.
Thank you. Well,
Never
the
mind.
ending of The
Never
Guilty
mind.
is actually Jake Gyllenhaal's in a bunny suit, or you think so, and a plane actually crashed into the house and actually died years ago. So that's the ending of The Guilty.
One of these days we'll do spoiler on both the Guilties.
And Donnie Darko. Yeah, that'd be really nice. Okay, so you know what, Eric, you have one more recommendation before we get to Bruce's What's in the Box. What you got?
I do. It's one that I think maybe a lot of our listeners already seen. It's one I've seen before, but I just kind of had a itch to watch it again. And it's 1998 movie written and directed by Hype Williams, and it's called Belly. It's got starring Nas, DMX, T-Boz. It's got a bunch of Hype Williams is a music video director. And when I say that, it's not to disparage him. It's if you look at his IMDb, it's only videos save for Belly, which I believe is his only feature. This is pretty much a straight up gangster movie, blaxploitation gangster movie. DMX plays Tommy, Nas plays Sincere, and they live in New York, and they want to get into the heroin game. First of all, the opening to this movie is awesome. Back to Life, you know that song?
Yeah,
However
Soul
do you
Soul,
want
yeah.
me, however
Yeah.
you need me, I will say the
Right.
lyrics but not sing them, so we don't
Thank
get
you.
strict.
Thank you. Yeah.
But they have they take that song and they do that thing where they take the music out, but they have just the lyrics or the singing. And in the 90s R&B, they had really good voices, and so they had that kind of cut in with the Nas and DMX going in, breaking into this dance club and raiding it, thieving it, whatever. Dude, that opening thing is awesome. Hype Williams, like this movie's kind of, it's definitely blaxploitational. It's, it's not elevated really. They try to get there at the end when DMX kind of learns a valuable lesson about what it means, because the whole movie is them kind of doing a downward spiral as they're selling heroin. And then at the end, there's a little bit of a redemption arc. But, this is, I don't want to say cheeseburgerian. And that's not even really the right word. This is kind of like Boondock Saints. Kind of on that level. But it's fun. And mostly the reason why I like it is, so they're in New York and they start the heroin game from this drug dealer in Africa. And they decide to go to Omaha, which is where I'm from. So anytime they cut the scenes in Omaha, I'm like, oh, do I recognize that? I don't. And it's hard to recognize that. Like, it looks like a lot of where it takes place is either in the Dundee area or maybe North Omaha. But it's hard to tell because the background's always blurred out when they're in Omaha. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch, I can't. But, whatever. But this is a fun movie. This movie's straight up gangsta. And,
How did you see it? Did you rent it? Did you rent the movie?
I was playing on Amazon, but I think you have to rent it on Amazon now. So
Really?
I think I might have just caught it like the tail end because I think you got to pay like $9 or $3 or
It was
something.
a
You're right.
femme fatale situation all
Yes,
over
Femme
again.
Fatale. Yes.
Yeah.
Listeners, if you don't know what the Femme Fatale situation, we were doing an episode on Brian De Palma, and I wanted them to see Femme Fatale. Bruce Purkey, like I would be want to do. He knew that Femme Fatale was streaming on Amazon Prime Video, and he was thinking, okay, I'm just gonna catch it the day before we record. But lo and behold, as soon as he gets back from work, it was the day when he went to work. I remember this. Femme Fatale was streaming. The time he went back home to actually watch it, it stopped streaming. He just caught it right between the nether worlds. Belly is correct. That's Eric Holmes. Belly is correct. It is not streaming on Amazon Prime Video. You have to rent it right now. So Eric Holmes was able to actually catch it in that small window, directed by Hype Williams, again starring Nas and DMX. Love the soundtrack to Belly. Yes, Eric.
Oh yeah, the soundtrack's awesome. T-Boz she's not a great actress, but I really like her in this. Same with most of them. Nas isn't great, DMX isn't great, but I kind of like their personalities for what this movie is. But one of the things I kind of wanted to bring up was this is Hype Williams' only movie that he's directed that I'm aware of that I could find. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. But this is really hyper stylized in 1998. I really let me make sure Hype Williams is still alive.
He's still alive. Hype Williams is
I
still
wanted
alive.
to direct
He's not
another
dead.
movie and he's dead.
All right, it's still alive. I just wanted to make sure. But
When is Orson Welles gonna direct another movie?
Yeah,
Bruce?
Kubrick. I want Kubrick to direct one too.
I really like the stylization of this, and he's been doing like music videos ever since. I really want to see him do another movie, just to see. Like, I enjoyed this one enough. I want to see him do another one. 20 years later, just to see kind of what he comes up with. Maybe he comes out with another movie and it sucks. But I think if he come out with another movie, be pretty sweet, especially if he gets a good writer behind him.
Okay, so that is a shout out to Hype Williams. Eric Holmes loved the stylization behind Belly, starring Nas and DMX. That is his second recommendation this week. We are closing our show with a What's in the Box pick from Bruce Purkey. But before we do that, since I've been blabbing about it right now, Eric, do we have a special musical guest?
Red Pete 1, drop that beat.
Who's in the box? Oh, what's in the box? You lie! No! What's in the fucking box?
Red Pete 1. Red Pete 1. Very good. Bruce, let's hear it.
We are talking about, and I know that we are because I know Eric has watched this movie. we are going to be talking about Biokids from 1990. This was suggested by Joseph Bridges from the Cinematics page. He's always
Thank you, Joseph, by the way.
Joseph, he, I think, has a similar ethos to us in that he is sometimes watching super art house stuff, and then sometimes he's watching super not art house stuff, and this would be in the second category. This is directed by, I wrote it down, Bibong Osorio, and it is essentially the Filipino kid version of Power Rangers. As far as we can all tell, including Joseph Bridges, there is no available version of this other than the one that we could find that's not translated on YouTube.
So it's all in Tagalog, right? You watch the whole thing in Tagalog, right?
We watched the whole thing in Tagalog, except there is a few, well, I don't know if that's part of what Tagalog has. There'd be a few English phrases kind of just popping in there sometimes.
Yeah. We call it Taglish. Taglish,
yeah.
like Spanglish? Taglish.
Yeah. And it looks like it was probably videotaped off of a 10th generation videotape by videotaping a TV screen, possibly, with bad tracking. It's definitely very low quality. Unfortunately, because I think I would have loved to have seen it in a little bit higher clarity. And then I'm going to let Eric kind of hop in here. I mean, this is, okay.
Well, let me hop in right now. Let me just quickly hop in. Joseph Bridges. Yeah. We're gonna incant the name Joseph Bridges. Here's his plot summary for Biokids. Quote, several kids break into the house of a mad scientist. He gives them pills and sticks them in his machine that gives them superpowers and spirit animals. He then directs them to fight crime across the city of Manila. A gang leader who is a teleporting clown wants to take over the city by terrorizing kids with laser-eyed ghost wrestlers who are summoned when they play their Nintendo game systems. The Biokids must fight the ghost wrestlers and stop the clown. This seems like a very insane movie. Eric, go ahead.
I mean, he nailed it.
He really did nail it.
That's pretty much
not
it.
me. That's Joseph Bridges nailing it. That was his thing. But you loved it, Eric? You enjoyed it?
Well, okay. So first of all, like Bruce said, the only way you can find this that we're aware of anyway is on YouTube, and it's not in English, but some of it is. But this is as crazy as this movie is. You've seen these type of movies before. So even though you can't understand exactly what, you might not be able to understand what they're saying, you get the idea. Oh, this is the part where they're going in the thing. Okay, this is the part where they're getting their powers. Oh, they're playing that music, so that person must be a bad guy. It's not like you can't follow it. The opening theme song is one of the greatest theme songs ever written and listened to by human ears, including my own.
Wow. Okay.
And luckily, you get to hear it at least 10 times during this movie.
Yeah, and that's the only mark I have against this movie, because I should have been able to hear it 20 more times. This movie, and look, the kids are freaking adorable in this, especially Blue Eagle 3. He often likes to sit on people's faces and fart on them. I think Pink Panther 5 and Blue Eagle 3 are my two favorites, because Pink Panther 5 is like the one of the girl characters, and she kind of gets, like, the girl characters are kind of relegated to the back, but then she kind of gets some stuff to do kind of towards the end, because she gets to fight one of the people by herself and gets pulled aside and has to fight her way out. And I mean, I'd make it seem like this movie's deep. It's not. It's but it's.
I don't know how you guys could actually watch this movie. I'm sorry. I'm Filipino. I love my people. Yeah. But how?
It was pretty simple. Because I was like,
open your eyes.
I'll put this in. I got 10 minutes in. It was kind of like what's that movie? Something Captain Alex. Was that a Nigerian or Somalian movie?
I know what you're talking about.
The Captain Alex. Action. It was kind of like that. I put it in for like 10 minutes, and after 10 minutes, I'm like, oh, I gotta watch the rest of it. This is just too freaking adorable and awesome and amazing, and it just it kind of hit that right note at the right time.
Yeah, it has that. I mean, okay, by standards that we normally give to movies, it's not the highest quality.
Yeah, but by normal standards, it's a 1 star, but it's a brilliant star.
But the way I look at it is, this is like this has that energy and that love of somebody making their own movie with their own stuff in their backyard. You know, like you get the neighborhood together and we're gonna make our own Power Rangers movie. It's kind of like that, you know. If you can get into that vibe and you kind of like that retro weirdness, you can definitely find some fun in here. I want to mention the clown villain. There's one shot of him where he's obviously meant to look like the Joker because of the clothing and the color and everything. And I had mentioned that he was a better Joker than Jared Leto. I do stand by that. He is a better Joker than Jared Leto.
Okay, that's very funny. Do you agree, Eric Holmes, on that? Better Joker than Jared Leto?
Yes, I might even say he's a better Joker than Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger.
No.
That's how good Biokids is the greatest movie to come out this year, or any other
in
year.
Eric's defense, are there any other Joker performances where he was able to teleport?
No.
Okay, not even the
Mic drop.
Yeah, mic drop. Okay, so basically what Eric said, it's almost as good, or if not as good as, it's better than those other two Joker performances. Notice he did not mention the late Heath Ledger. That is an iconic performance as the Joker, and that is Biokids. It is not streaming it anywhere, but go check it out on YouTube if you can. Eric Holmes,
you know
please,
what
yes,
I would
sir.
love to see?
No.
The makers of Psycho Gorman do a sequel to Biokids.
Oh, very good. Oh, what do you think, Bruce? This is a movie that you love, PG Psycho Gorman.
I could see that being freaking amazing. Freaking amazing.
Freaking amazing, yeah. You can effing amazing.
And no one else cares about Biokids other than us and Joseph Bridges.
Bridges,
so
my
might
goodness.
as well.
And I'm Filipino, and I'm turning my back to this movie. What is it? What does that say about Biokids, huh, folks?
I got $10. I'll buy the rights for them if they need me to.
Buy the rights to Biokids.
Oh, I want to add on to the blue guy. You said Blue Eagle 3, right?
Yeah.
Because you talked about him farting on people. I love also his fighting style is about 50% laying on objects and kicking, like laying on a table and kicking somebody, laying on. And I appreciate that because it's lazy and it's active at the same time. So I really can get behind that.
We forgot to mention in Benedetta there was some fighting and fire, right? Farting and fire in that. Was that the movie? What was the one that was there? Farting and
Yeah,
fire?
they were lighting farts.
Lighting
how did
farts
we
in
forget-
Benedetta. Yeah,
we
we
need to go
forgot to
back and
mention that.
re-record the cinematics episode.
Yeah, folks. If you want to watch Benedetta, they're lighting. They're what? What did you say, Eric? The fart.
We failed our listeners, is what we did.
We did fire farts.
There's a bunch of farting and pooping in Benedetta.
Yeah, there's a lot of
There's a
scatological
pooping
stuff.
scene in Biokids. There's a pooping scene in Biokids.
Oh my god!
Yep.
Like these are
Close up of his face going. "Ugh." I think it was meant for you to, yeah, the pop noise. I think it was meant for you to think that he was doing something else. But I mean, I was like, "Was he pooping?" And it cuts back and it's like, "Oh, he's pooping."
That's so okay. So that is a recommendation from Bruce Purkey and Eric Holmes for Biokids for What's in the Box. Thank you, as always, Joseph Bridges, for that really interesting recommendation. Joseph Bridges, you are an astute cinephile, so please next time in the box, instead of Biokids, put in something like, I don't know, from Michael Powell or whatnot, like something like The Red Shoes or something of that ilk, or Black Narcissus, something really nice and classy. I'm tired of this Biokid stuff. What, Eric?
Speaking of the red shoes,
Yes.
I would I think our listeners, the ones that haven't yet, you and Anderson talked about Peeping Tom.
What'd you call me? Yes,
Said you and Anderson
Thank
talked
you.
about Peeping
Yes.
Tom. So if anyone listening to this, what was that? That's on the Patreon.
Yeah, for our Patreon, thank you, Eric Holmes, for our Patreon cinematics for our November episode. We actually we talked about Peeping Tom, and what other movie did we talk about? So I picked Peeping Tom. Oh, and also Eyes Without a Face. That's on our Patreon for cinematics. And what I forgot to do to mention on our cinematics is Anderson told this to me. I'm actually going to record this for our cinematics feed. That for our Patreon listeners, we are going to listen. We're going to the year is 1944. That is for December. We are going to spotlight the year of 1944. So Patreon members, if you have movies to suggest from 1944, hit us up. Okay, that is it for our episode of Find Your Film. Eric, you have something to say before we go?
Does Bruce, or are we doing something else?
Oh, I keep forgetting the box.
It's like a bit.
Yeah, it's like a bit.
box,
It's like the box. What's in the box? What's in the
You
bleeping
can
box?
never remember. Let's see.
Bruce, what's
Usually,
in the
I also have a
box?
habit of having duplicates in here too, which is a whole deal as well.
Biokids.
All right.
Biokids.
Oh, can't do it. It's Joseph Bridges again. It's going back in. I'm not even going to say what it was.
Oh, good,
Aw, man.
good.
I hope it was Biokids too. Is there a Biokids
Kids
too? I hope there
That'd
is.
be great.
All right, I'm coming. I'm trying to get this one figured
Oh,
out.
actually, I think Biokids is a sequel. Is it? And I'm not joking. I thought I read something about like there wasn't like the original like Ninja Kids, and Biokids was like a sequel or a fall or I don't know.
This is
Oh
a
my
deep
God,
dive.
I
That
think
I don't know.
So something to look up for
Okay.
you know if you
Okay,
want.
this is great. This is so great. After what
Yes.
Eric just, actually what Greg just said. I'm sorry. Matt Stillman, and I will finally be fully watching, because I have never fully watched this movie from front to back, only bits and pieces. I will be watching Casablanca from 1942 by Michael Curtis.
Nice. Thank you. By
See,
Michael
you wanted
Curtis,
classy. You got
Casablanca.
classy, buddy.
That is very, very classy. Have you ever seen Casablanca, Eric Holmes? Have you ever seen that?
I've seen parts of it. And,
Just like me.
Okay, like just like West Side Story, you're not a song and dance.
you know
fan.
what? I might go ahead and take the medicine. At least just say, okay, I did it. I did it.
Mm-hmm. The fundamental things apply as time goes by, Eric. That is such a beautiful song, As Time Goes By, played by Dooley Wilson as Sam. I believe Dooley Wilson is his name in Casablanca. I might want to actually rewatch that as well. Very, very wonderful film. So, you don't even know what happens. You guys don't even know what happens at the ending of Casablanca. Bruce, you might know what happens at the ending. Do you know what happens at the ending of Casablanca, Bruce?
Standing
idea?
next to a plane, and then he's like talking, and some stuff happens, and there's like
Saying
fog
something
and
like,
light.
We won't,
There you
we'll
go.
always
You have a
have
good idea.
Paris or something like that.
Always. Oh, okay. So that's very well.
I mean,
They say,
it's
like,
one of those
"Que
movies
sera,
that like
sera," or something.
it's one of those movies that even if you haven't seen it, like it's
an
enough in
idea.
the zeitgeist that it, you know, like you don't have to have seen Pulp Fiction to know like a bunch of beats of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, okay, well, like Eric and Bruce, I think this is the start of a beautiful friendship. That's all I'm gonna say to that. And before
Here's
we go, Eric,
looking at you, kid. Or
here's
is that
looking at
something
you. Very
else?
good. Here's that then. It's Casablanca. Eric, you have something to say before we go?
Yeah, listen to Cinematics and check out the Patreon to listen to them talk with Greg and Anderson talk about Eyes Without a Face and Peeping Tom.
Thank you,
And
Eric.
I think I need to rewatch Peeping Tom because that movie is pretty freaking good.
Very, very great movie. Okay, Bruce, as per usual, we end Find Your Film with your wise words.
Blue Eagle 3.
Okay, I'm gonna strike wise words from the conversation. We will see you guys next week here on Find Your Film. Biokids, never for me, but yes for Bruce and Eric Holmes. We'll see you guys. Bye.
Pink Panther 5!